I remember the hill. I remember the silence more. Sand in my sandals, my father's shadow longer than his body. He said my name, soft at first. Abraham was an echo we heard in the night. But Isaac was the promise he held in his arms. He told me, there's a voice that cuts through sleep, that calls you by name, that asks for everything, before you even know what everything means. I watched his hands shake as he packed the wood, each piece a question, stacked on his shoulders. We walked 3 days of throat-thick silence, 3 days of rehearsed faith and unrehearsed fear. What do you do when the promise lies bound on the altar, and the only thing you can lift is a shaking knife and a trembling prayer? What do you trust when the ground feels thin as breath? Do you cling to your child or the God who gave you a child to lose? I asked him, Father, where's the lamb? The words felt heavy in my mouth, like I already knew the answer. He swallowed hard, his jaw a locked door, then it cracked. God will provide himself the lamb, my son. I didn't know that sometimes faith sounds like hope, and sometimes hope sounds like a lie you're daring heaven to correct. On the mountain, wind pulled at his robe like it was trying to hold him back or push him forward. I still don't know which. He built the altar stone by slow stone, every rock a memory of a time God came through. And he turned toward me. What do you do when the promise lies bound on the altar, and the only thing you can lift is a shaking knife and a trembling prayer? What do you trust when the ground feels thin as breath? Do you cling to your child or the God who gave you a child to lose? His hands were gentle, too gentle for what they were doing. Rope against my wrists, his fingers trying to apologize for what obedience demanded. I saw the war in his eyes, duty on one side, decades of waiting on the other. And between them, my pulse pounding against the blade he hadn't lifted yet. I could have run, kicked, screamed, but faith is not always heroic. Sometimes it is a boy lying still on cold stone, hoping the story is not over yet. I stared at the sky, D minor clouds hanging heavy, and I whispered, if this is the end, let it mean something. Let your voice be louder than my last breath. Oh, what do you do when the promise lies bound on the altar, and the only thing you can lift is a shaking knife and a trembling prayer? What do you trust when the ground feels thin as breath? Do you cling to your child or the God who gave you a child to lose? Then the moment the air split, his arm raised, every muscle carved in grief, and heaven finally spoke, Abraham, Abraham. The knife froze mid-fall, caught between command and compassion. Do not lay your hand on the boy, and the words somewhere in the thicket, branches shiver, a ram caught by its own crown. Provision breathing where death had been expected. My father sobbed the sound of a man who had been ready to bury his future, and instead found a way for both faith and his son to walk back down the mountain. Now when I pray, I remember the rope, the wood, the look in his eyes. I remember that the God who asks for everything is the God who provides himself in the empty space between raised knife and beating heart. So when I climb my own hills, carrying quiet sacrifices, I whisper, if you call my name, I will answer. If you ask for the promise, I will lay it down. Because I have Because I have